They got pass interference right there.
I wonder how I share it. How I share it in the into people's thing.
Wasn't expecting Gamecocks after dark. We still have half of this game left.
Right? So it's still nothing in here. I don't know how the hell to share it, I guess. One person on YouTube.
Right, we got somebody.
Yeah, we're just trying to get this thing out here real quick.
Yeah, just
Making.
sharing it to all the different platforms before we get going.
Alright, there we go, I found it. Let me create a title real quick.
Go, Norris, go! Ah, I got tripped up. Now, you notice I've stepped out of the closet so I can watch the Gamecocks. And I think the acoustics aren't as bad being here. I'm in the guest room right now.
I'm just gonna share the. I'm just sharing the link right now. So
All right.
can't figure out how to change the title though. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it would share the title. I really didn't. All right. Well, you can talk a little bit while I'm doing this. You want to kind of get a little introduction to what's going on?
All right. All right, we got a touchdown, South Carolina. Let's go.
All right, it's not that serious, man. Y'all are playing FC State, man.
Yeah, the defending MEAC champions, you know? It's cool to see the offense score a touchdown because up until now, the only touchdowns they've scored have been
Oh,
punt
I know. I
returns,
was watching
which
it.
that's pretty
It
cool on
was
its
bad.
own.
I was telling Kyle, I was like, bro, like what? Like, do you even feel good about this? Like, I get like you're winning, but it's like, man, the offense literally got like 3 points right now.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, whatever it takes. LSU didn't look any damn better tonight.
Yeah, I haven't watched too much of it, but I'm sure you did. And I, of course, saw the Set It Off Twitter X account had lots of things to say about how LSU looked tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. I really wish I would have shared the title.
Hmm.
I
Was
don't
it a
know.
good title?
I mean, you can't see it.
No, I don't see it. Of course, I mean, I'm recording all on my phone, so
I'm sure you're
I
not
can't see how it's looking on the other end.
not locked in, man.
I could try to grab my laptop. I'd just be looking down, though.
I hope I'm sharing this thing right. Would assume so. I can see it on damn. Can you go on your Twitter? Oh, okay, never mind. I see it.
Okay.
Alright. Just ain't got nobody watching on there. I wish there was a way to share this thing in the damn.
Yeah, whoever's watching this right now, this is our first ever live show, so we're working out the kinks, but it's gonna be a good show. It was a crazy week too, and a
Yeah,
lot of
we
stuff to
had.
talk about.
I mean, you got to start with Florida, right? I mean,
Yeah,
talking about this thing, I'm gonna just kind of talk while I'm doing this, and we can kind of just start rolling into this thing. So don't mind me. I'm just gonna be looking down the whole time, trying to get things figured out over here. But yeah, well, I mean, the story of the day has got to be Florida, right? I mean, you losing to USF the way they did also is not ideal. But Will, in my opinion, you know, why is USF not ranked number one on Monday? Because
I mean,
my
I'm
God,
wondering that too. Why were they not ranked after they blew the doors off of Boise State?
I mean, they literally are the only team in the country that's beaten two ranked teams. Tell me why they don't deserve to be ranked number one. Like,
The
yeah,
Will
Ohio
rankings
State
would put
has,
them in the top 10.
yeah, like Ohio State has the win over Texas, but like they don't have two ranked wins. They're over here playing Grambling. You know what they did? They just went on the road to the swamp, and beat Florida, and then they beat last year's playoff G5 representative in Boise State, and they didn't just beat them; they dominated them. So like, I don't know, man. It's looking rough for the boys down there in Gainesville. I mean, there was a lot of expectations for old boy and old Sunbelt Billy down there, and this is not really how you wanted to start the season. It has been, let's just say, this is not going to help his case as far as getting more time. But we saw this team lose a lot last year, and what they did at the end of the season. I mean, I still think personally Florida's a good team. I don't think tonight really you know changed my mind about that. Maybe the people who had them as like playoff contenders and stuff probably aren't feeling very well about that anymore. But I mean, Florida just kind of is what they are. I mean, DJ Lagway is supposed to be this great, player, and he just hasn't lived up to that yet.
Yeah, I mean, Florida, they have quite a gauntlet in front of them still, so I don't know if playoff is realistic, especially losing one that you're really supposed to win like this. But for me, it's not as much Florida's bad. I just think it's South Florida is really good, and people need to start putting respect on their name. I believe that after what they did to Boise State last week, huge blowout win over them. And I mean, I'm honest, I saw this coming. I talked a little bit about it in our show during the week. I picked them as one of my best bets. I said South Florida. I think they gave 17 and a half for Florida. That was way too much. It was going to be a lot closer than this. And I'm not surprised at all that South Florida was able to go in there and get the outright win. And I mean, South Florida, they have a strong case already that they're building to be that group of five representative. And boy, oh boy, the CW, they're going to get a heck of a game next week. They're going to get a ranked on ranked matchup. South Florida playing Miami. I don't think they saw that coming, but yeah, all of a sudden, that's a very intriguing matchup.
No, like I mean, the CW was balling today, man. I don't know if you watched any of the Baylor SMU game
I
this
saw
morning.
that,
Was
yeah.
going crazy. I had Baylor money line, so I was completely locked in on that game because my God, nobody wanted to play any defense, and it was super frustrating to watch. But you know what? Baylor found a way to get it done. They made me proud today because I put a lot of stock in Baylor earlier in the
You
year.
really
All right,
did.
and they really disappointed me last week. So I was really glad to see them bounce back. But I mean, the story of today, right? I think is obviously the Florida news is a big news, but how about the Mississippi State Bulldogs?
Yeah, I
How
just saw that.
embarrassing is it for the Big 12 champs to go into Starkville against the worst team in the SEC last year, hands down, and then they go in there and get beat. And it was a close game. Don't get me wrong; it came down to the final seconds, but there was a point in time Mississippi State was up 17 to nothing and had firm control of that game.
Yeah.
Not yeah, at all what I was expecting. I had Arizona State minus 6.5 today on my bets, and boy did they flop.
I forget if I said Mississippi State was one of my best bets, but I mean, I was thinking they were gonna be able to put up a fight in this one. I did not expect to see them jump out to a 17-0 lead like that, just dominate the first half. And you could say maybe Mississippi State fans were feeling really good, but maybe not because they've seen how that football program's been the last few seasons. And sure enough, Arizona State comes all the way back, takes the lead inside 2 minutes to go, and it's looking all doom and gloom. And just what a heck of a finish. I just saw that a few minutes ago, and I mean, an incredible pass play for Mississippi State to take it in for a touchdown inside like 30 seconds, and then the interception to seal the deal. Huge win for the folks in Starkville. It's really nice to see them celebrating this one because it's been pent up for years. They've been wanting something to celebrate, and they finally got it.
Yeah, they earned this one tonight. You can't even lie. Like, I watched the videos all week of these dudes, or these little kids out there. They had like trainers or whatever, rattling their little cowbells in practice simulation. And I was just thinking to myself, like, these people have no idea. Like, these people in the Big 12 have no idea that even though that they're the 16th best team in the SEC, that place was going to be rocking, Will. That there is not an environment in the SEC outside of Vanderbilt, all right, that you are not walking into hostile territory because it just means more around here. All right, and tonight was a prime example of that because Arizona State walked into a buzzsaw that they were not ready for tonight.
Yeah. And you remember we did our Big 12 preview like a few weeks before the season, and we said this conference is going to be just chaos, and we don't think the champ is going to have anything less than two losses. Arizona State could very well still contend for the Big 12, but just teams in the Big 12, they struggle to get the wins sometimes.
Yeah, it was a rough day. I mean, honestly, outside of the Florida game, like the SEC had an amazing day today, right? I mean,
Yeah.
outside of
Did
a
you
couple
see
teams like LSU, I think Georgia kind of struggled there for a little bit. But I mean,
South
you get
Carolina had a bad first quarter, but I'm watching that now and they're getting it together. How about
yeah,
Alabama though? After all the noise they heard last week, and it was like 66-0.
yeah,
So I mean, I know they're playing ULM, but still,
yeah.
they
We're
got a
we're
lot of pent up frustration. I think.
speaking of 66-0. We're gonna talk. We're gonna. This is like gonna be my version of Josh Pate's like Sarah McLaughlin special, because I want to shout out the boys over there in Stillwater, Oklahoma today. Because they played a football game today, guys. Some might not call it a football game, but they showed up to Eugene, Oregon today, and you know I don't think they put forth their best effort. Let's just say that it was rough. All right, well, it was 69-3. All right, final
Yeah.
score. Um, it was 41 to 3 at halftime. All right, they scored 28 points in the third quarter. They had 69 points at the end of the third quarter. They did not score again after that. Um, one of us here, all right, may have put in their best bets. Oklahoma State plus 28 and a half.
Tell me
Um,
it wasn't me, was it?
and that person is an idiot. All right,
Was it me?
it was
I
not
forget.
you, Will. It was
Oh,
me.
thank goodness.
Thank God your boy did not bet his hard-earned money on that, because my
Okay,
God, it
good.
would have went and donated it to charity instead, because that was probably the worst decision of my life. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but something in me said Oklahoma State, this proud program, and Mike Gundy, there is no way that they're going to go up to Eugene, Oregon, all right, and not at least fight. And you know what they didn't do, Will? They didn't fight at all, man. They laid over. I mean, it was like 35-0 at like the end of the first quarter. Like there was no hope. It was never gonna happen. I turned that game off immediately. It's such a shame that CBS had to broadcast that, because it was like witnessing a murder on TV, and you just had to continue to watch it for 60 minutes. If you're an Oklahoma State fan and you're watching this and you actually watched the full game, please comment so I can shout you out, because my God, you are a true fan. I could never. If my team, if LSU was losing 69-3 at any point in any football game, that shit would have got turned off so fast. Cause I couldn't. I don't know what I was thinking. Will it happened? I'm not proud of it, right? But you know, we're stronger because of it. You know, and I'm hoping Oklahoma State takes that and they take what happened to them today in their little prison loving session over there in Eugene, Oregon, and maybe they build off of it, you know, or maybe they don't. Maybe they crumble and they continue to be what they were today, which was hot, steamy dog shit.
Man, it's really unbelievable because we look at some of the scores this week and it's cupcake teams losing that bad. But to have a Power Four team like Oklahoma State lose by 66 points, I honestly can't remember the last time one of the Power Conference teams lost by that big of a margin. But I saw like Dan Lanning, he heard what Mike Gundy said during the week about NIL money and I guess Dan Lanning was like, well, that was extra gasoline on the fire. They were already motivated to win, and then that just poured gas on the fire. And man, if that was the case, we really saw it because that's a massive, massive win they had there.
Yeah, Dan Lanning's a piece of shit, man. Like, you cannot piss Dan Lanning off, man. If you piss Dan Lanning off, you are going to pay for it dearly. You better pray to God you beat him because if you don't, this is what's going to happen. And you know what? He likes that internal motivation. I know you remember the Colorado thing from what 2 years
Yeah, I
ago,
do remember that.
and
Yeah, it
and
was
you know
very hyped up, and
we're
you
not
saw
doing
what
this for
Oregon did.
clicks, mentality.
Hmm.
Like, hey, like when Dan Lanning's teams lock it in, they get locked in because they got better players than you. And I was watching Josh Payton. He warned me, and for whatever reason, I still did it, and I feel bad. So I mean, I just wanted to shout out Oregon today for doing what they did to Oklahoma State because that was absolutely embarrassing. But I kind of want to jump back into the noon window because we kind of are talking about a lot of the nightcap games. We forget how good that noon window was. You had obviously we talked a little bit about Baylor and SMU. We had Iowa State there, and then we had Illinois and Duke, which Illinois and Duke was a close game for a while there, but boy, Illinois turned it on there in the second half, outscoring Duke 17-0 in the fourth quarter, and it got rough for the Blue Devils. They turned the football over a lot, and it was bad. I'm guessing South Carolina scored.
Touchdown, South Carolina. South Carolina State fumbled the ball, and they
Nobody
ran back.
cares.
Well,
Nobody cares. There's
I
not a
care.
single person that's watching this thing right now that gives a damn about South Carolina versus South Carolina State. Well,
We got Gamecock fans in the chat, right?
no, they just all replied at one time and said no.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So knock it
well, I
off.
care, so somebody cares.
No,
But I'm
why?
sorry.
Hold on, pause
Continue
for.
with your point. Good for Illinois. I mean, they
No, we
hurt my
gotta pause for
feelings
a
with that
second.
bowl game last year, but sure, they're for real again.
We
Yeah.
gotta pause for a second because where are you at right now? Are you?
Uh, I
You're not in
I'm
a
in the
closet.
guest I'm in the guest room. Yeah. So I'm
Damn, you
trying to
got put
make
out
sure
of
I
your
can
own
see it.
closet. You got put out
What?
of your. You got put out of your own closet and had to move into the guest room.
Well, it was a courtesy thing, so I wouldn't be all loud for people trying to sleep. And it's also great because I can watch the Gamecocks after dark over
You
here.
have people
Um,
sleeping in your closet.
no, but you see, the closet is in the bedroom. Well,
Oh,
not in the bedroom, but near the. It's in that same vicinity, right?
yeah.
And I'm talking kind of loudly on this show,
Hmm.
and I don't want to disturb people.
Makes sense. I
Yeah.
was just flabbergasted when I seen the background and I didn't see all your button-up shirts. So
I
I
can't
mean,
believe you went this long without noticing.
that's a win. Well, we haven't even talked. We haven't even talked. Where? Let me find it. I gotta get out of the top 25 shit for this one because where's our boys?
Who,
How'd
the
our
Purdue
fucking boys do?
Boilermakers?
How did our fucking boys do today, man?
Oh, they had a great game. They beat a tough Southern Illinois team. I think it was 34-17, right? Or was
Wow,
it
bunch of
thirty-four
dogs.
twenty-four?
Bunch of dogs. There's fans in here. There's fans in here that are Alabama fans, that are Texas fans, that are North Carolina fans. There's a lot of fans in the chat right now. All
Oh,
right,
awesome.
And there's a lot of fans of a lot of teams, right? And a lot of them don't know that your team has a shittier record than Purdue right now. How does
Yep.
that make you feel? You know,
This is a
you're watching this right now. How does that make you feel? Because Purdue is on a historic run right now. Didn't this team win 2 games last year, Will? Two
so they
total,
only
right?
won one game last year.
Oh
Purdue's doing
shit!
something
They've
special.
already
They've
doubled.
doubled their
They've
win total
already
already.
doubled their win total
Barry
from
Odom's
last
onto
year.
something, man. 2 and
Your
0.
favorite team could never. If you're watching this, your favorite team could never live up to that Purdue Boilermakers style of football that they got going on over there. Watch out for the Boilermakers, and if you're a Purdue fan, thank you for watching because we do this show for you. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
they have another big game next week though. The University of Southern California, West Coast USC.
that
That's gonna
fake
be a big
USC,
test. Conference opener. What was that?
that fake USC is what you meant
Yeah,
to say.
yeah,
Yeah,
USC's in South Carolina. But
we don't
anyway,
respect teams from past that. Once you get out there, we don't even respect teams like that unless you're in Oregon. If you're in that little corner where Oregon's at, we respect those people because they beat people 69-3. Anybody else on that side of the island, nope. You're basically part of Hawaii. We don't even care. All right. Anything northeast. I don't know if you watched today. You know, if my dear friend's out there watching this right now, and he told me he would, so he might be. But if he's watching this, I just want to shout out Syracuse. I had a fucking Big East dogfight. Jim Boeheim, uh, what's the Jim Calhoun, Jim Boeheim, classic basketball matchup. UConn versus Syracuse. Syracuse trailed for a majority of this football game, Will, but they found a way. And not only did they found a way to cover. They took that thing into overtime and they covered 6.5 for my boy. All right, so I had to shout that out on the show. We're never going to talk about Syracuse or UConn at any point in the season for the rest of the season. So this was their 5 minutes of fame. But a game I want to talk about, Will, is the 3:30 window game, and that was Kentucky and Ole Miss. I want to get your opinion on what you saw from Ole Miss and Kentucky today.
oh well, from what I remember, there were a lot of games going on at the same time. But yeah, it was pretty close. Those two teams played close yet again, and I seem to recall Kentucky just like shooting itself in the foot with all kinds of moments where they're wasting time, like they're not aware of the play clock and they had to burn timeouts. I saw that happen so much in the first half. They burned through all their timeouts and it just felt careless. And yeah, so just wasted opportunities for Kentucky. They had a chance to get a really big win there, but Ole Miss ends up pulling ahead late in the fourth quarter in that one. But
I mean, does Lane Kiffin or does Mark Stoops own Lane Kiffin? Like my God, like Kentucky's not good. Like Kentucky played today, and I not at one point watching that football game was like wow man, Kentucky's actually like pretty good. It was like no, like Ole Miss is really fucking this up again for the second year in a row. Somehow they were able to figure it out. They really screwed me over. Will, I want to talk about my bets real quick because your boy was about to have a historic day.
I
All
remember
right,
I picked Kentucky. I saw this coming, but I might have
all
missed the
right.
points just barely.
I bet hard earned money today on 10 football games. Will, all
Mm.
right, and your boy won 8 of the 10. All right, so it was a great day, no matter what, great day. But we got to talk about the two fucking games that I lost, man. All
Ooh,
right,
what is
because I
that?
bet Ole Miss -8.5. And what the hell did Kentucky do? They went down there and drove down the field, down 10 points. And no, they didn't try to go for a damn touchdown. What they do, Will, with 28 seconds left,
Oh, they
whatever,
kicked the field goal
they
to
kicked a
cover.
damn field goal to cover the damn spread and
Oh,
cost
that's
me
nice to
money.
hear
And it
because
cost me money, Will. So it's not good to hear. It was not a good experience because that's that rat shit. That's that shit that further down in the season, I remember that shit. And anytime I think about you, that's all I'm going to think about. And it's all going to be negative because now I'm never going to like Kentucky ever again because of these types of situations. And another person I want to talk about is Kenny Dillingham. All right. You had the game. All right. It was right there in your grasp, man. You're on the 3 yard line. You got 4 downs to score a touchdown against Mississippi State, who is the worst team in the SEC, maybe even behind Kentucky. We are not going to find
I
out
don't know.
until
We
later
got to
on
play
the
it
year.
out.
But you were on the 3 yard line with a chance to go up 7. The spread was 6.5. Will, you know what he did? He just ran it up the middle 3 straight times. They got stuffed every single freaking time. And you know what? When they ended up kicking the field goal and making it 20-17 or whatever it ended up being, when they kicked that field goal, I was like, my God, please, Mississippi State, go down there and make these mother you know what's lose, because Kenny Dillingham didn't want to score a touchdown, man. And that's another person, along with Mark Stoops. Kenny Dillingham is on the set it off shit list this week because of those actions that he took in tonight's games. And he cost me a perfect 10-0 day because I feel like if they go down and score right there and they score a touchdown, maybe they don't give up a touchdown. Maybe the team fights a little bit more. But no, you went full conservative. You kicked your little field goal from the 2 yard line. You took the lead like what every good, responsible team would do. But no, you had the chance and you blew it. You cost me money. So forget you the rest of the season. I'm on the Arizona State hate train. Hopefully Baylor whoops their ass when they play them.
That's really interesting about Kentucky that you brought up because I had turned the game off, so I thought, this is over. But hey, at the last minute, they proved me right, so that's cool. But hey, look at the bright side. You got 8 right. Even though you got 2 wrong, you still got 8 right. So
could have been a historic day, though. Could have been a historic day.
You were really close. There's always next week, right?
They don't. You know who has the second most home runs behind Barry Bonds?
No.
Exactly. You know why? Because he's not historic. Well, nobody gives a shit who finishes second. They care about who was perfect. Nobody remembers the 2016 Golden State Warriors. You know why? Because they didn't win the championship, Will. All right? They were great, all right? But they didn't win it all, all right? I wanted to win it all. I wanted to go 10-0 selfishly, all right? And those two people, Mark Stoops, Kenny Dillingham, put them on the wanted posters, all right, and never want to speak of them again. Will's jumping up and down, so South Carolina obviously scored again. We
Beautiful throw.
The
Gamecocks are about to go up 38-3.
The people in here still do not care, Will. It is South Carolina versus South Carolina State. They do not give a shit.
Defending MEAC champions.
So did you watch any of the nightcap game, like the Michigan-Oklahoma game? Like, give me your thoughts on the Michigan-Oklahoma game.
Yeah, there was just so much going on that night window, but definitely it was on one of the TVs, and I was keeping an eye on it. John Mateer, I know I've referred to him a lot as Oklahoma's transfer quarterback. I know his name now, John Mateer. What a great performance he put up. And I think also a really good job by Oklahoma's defense shutting down Michigan. It felt like Oklahoma was in control pretty much the whole game, and look out, Oklahoma could be a contender this year. I think we're going to have a battle of unbeatens, Oklahoma versus Auburn, coming up in a couple weeks because both those teams play cupcakes. Interesting game that will be a couple weeks from now.
Okay, we're going to go to a dark place here, Will, because you know my feelings on the whole Michigan thing and what they did, to get that 5-star quarterback that they got, that
Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, the savior, the guy who's going to be. And if Bryce Underwood, if you just happen to stumble across this, I'm sorry, I don't have anything against you personally, all right? But you did me dirty, all right? So I'm going to have to rag you, all right? I'm going to spend the next 2 minutes talking shit about you. All right, so Bryce Underwood, Mr. 5-star, #1 player in the country over here. You know what his stat line is? Because I'm about to read it, all right? 9 for 24. 9 for 24. You know what that equals? That's 37%. That is not good. that is not going to win you any game, let alone a game against a top 25 team in a Brent Venables defense. And what did Brent Venables? We talked about it, Will. The freshman quarterback going into a hostile environment against Brent Venables, it was going to be bad. We knew it was going to be bad. There was at no point watching this football game where I was like, wow, Michigan has a real chance to win this football game. It was like Oklahoma really dominated this thing, but Michigan's defense is good enough to kind of keep them in the game, but there was not one point in this game where I was like, wow, Michigan really is keeping this thing close, or they have a chance. Like, this dude threw for 142 yards, no touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over, so kudos to him for that. But 9 for 24, Will, are you kidding me? This is the kid that's going to save this dog. You can't take the dog shit out of Michigan's program, all right? They're always going to be terrible at quarterback play. That's just who they are. And you know what? When the check bounces at the end of the year, Bryce, and you're watching this right now, when the check bounces and you don't get all of that guaranteed money and maybe things aren't looking the way that you want them to in Ann Arbor, LSU will welcome you back with open arms because you will be the starting quarterback next year. We will develop you. We will make you great. We will turn you into Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, the people that you see being talked about in the Heisman competition. When's the last time we talked about Michigan's quarterback being in the Heisman competition? That's right, never. Exactly. It's been a while, all right? Maybe before, I don't even know. I couldn't tell you the
Was
last
Tom
time.
Brady in that conversation ever?
No, he was not even that good. All right, the
Oh,
man got picked in like the 7th round. He
that's
was like,
right. He was.
he
Yeah.
wasn't that good at Michigan. All right, his claim to fame is he beat Alabama one time, but when Alabama was dog shit on probation, like that
I
was like
can't
his
remember a Michigan quarterback in that conversation,
exactly.
honestly.
There, because you know why, Will? Because there ain't one. All right,
Mm.
there ain't one. All right, and Bryce Underwood ain't gonna change that. It don't matter how damn good he is. You can't take the shit out of the shitty. All right, you can't do it, Will. All right, you can spray deodorant all over the pile of dog shit you want. All right, it's still gonna smell like dog shit and deodorant at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know. We're early in the season. Maybe Michigan will get it together. They had to play on the road in the SEC. That's never easy. Arizona State found that out tonight too. Of
Don't
course,
forget
South
about
Florida
Virginia Tech
did
finding that shit out tonight. Diego and the boys rolling up into Blacksburg
on
and
the road.
just dumping a load on damn Virginia Tech in the second half. Down 10 points at halftime was Vanderbilt, right? And I'm thinking to myself, because I bet money. I picked money line Vanderbilt as an underdog tonight. And I was like, are they really about to lose? Because I watched them play South Carolina. All right. They didn't look great, you
Didn't
know?
score a touchdown against the
That's what I'm
Gamecocks.
saying. They didn't look very good. So it was like, Vandy got this, right? But I was thinking at halftime, I was like, damn, this really is just same old Vandy, you know? Like maybe they're not it. You know what they did, Will? They just went out there and pitched a damn shutout in the second half and then hung 48 on them as a final score of 48-20. Like just railroaded Virginia Tech in their own building, cleared that place out pretty dang quick tonight.
Yeah, man. South Carolina, Vandy, and Virginia Tech are kind of playing a round robin the first 3 weeks of the season. South Carolina and Vandy both handled Virginia Tech. Seems like Vandy handled them a little better based on how tonight went, but we're going to see those teams go at it next week in Williams-Brice Stadium under the lights. Going to be really interested. That's kind of a tone setter. See, I don't know, Vanderbilt. They might give the Gamecocks a little run for their money, but guess we can talk about that later.
That's gonna be all right. So we gotta talk about my team. All right, we've waited long enough. All right, it was a bad night. It was a bad night to be an LSU guy. It was a bad night for not only the on the field reasons, right, but you had a game where you had several key players get injured tonight. And what is the one thing you obviously want to do besides winning the game against these lower tier teams? And that is stay healthy. You want to walk out of those games clean with everybody standing upright. All right. And I got fears. All right. Because I got fears that, the starting center, the focal point of that offensive line, he got injured in the first quarter, And you know what LSU did all night? Not block a fucking soul, Will. They couldn't block anybody. They literally were so bad tonight. They could not block to save their life, and that is why they struggled immensely. The defense was amazing. All right, the defense gave up a cheap touchdown there at the end, but pretty much pitched a shutout with all the starters in there, you know. But the offense was horrible, like from start to finish. Like they had a couple moments where they flashed there, but for the basis of this whole argument here, they were awful. And I got a real bad feeling that if Braylon Moore, the center for LSU, is not available next weekend is going to be a rough weekend for LSU fans because I hate it to break it to you. Florida's defense is still pretty good. Yeah, they lost today. You know what that did? It just pissed them off more. And I don't think you really want to play Florida right now after what happened because you know what they don't want to do is lose 2 games in their first 3 games, you know? So they're going to come with all of their haymakers. They're going to throw everything at you to try to win this game and get this thing right. But the biggest loss probably, it looked like Trey'Dez Green, the guy who scored the touchdown against Clemson, the game-winning touchdown against Clemson. It looks like he tore his ACL. So I think he's going to be out. I definitely don't think he's playing against Clemson. I am just speculating. I don't know that for a fact. But, you know, when a guy comes off and they're giving him the ACL test and then you see him walking on crutches and people, you know, coming to console him, that's not great news. And that is one of your guys that you needed to be, you know, one of your guys on offense. So you lose 2 key offensive guys tonight, and you really saw the effects of having that center, Braylon Moore, be out because the offensive line was pitiful tonight. It was a tough watch, and you know Nussmeier wasn't really on his game tonight either. That's probably what I was most disappointed about when you see a guy who's in his 5th year. You know, you're hoping that, you know, he kind of brings that energy to the team instead of kind of that lackadaisical, like, hey, we beat a good team last weekend. We're just going to come in here and roll in and beat up on Louisiana Tech for a little bit. Well, that's not what they did. You know, it was never a game where you thought, wow, LSU is going to lose. But it was a game that if you're an LSU fan and you watch, it was as frustrating as any game you've probably watched in the last couple of years.
I have some additional thoughts about LSU. You remember during the week, Dabo Sweeney said something like, well, LSU has a 65 grade and we have a 58, so they're both kind of failing. And man, I gotta wonder if that was true because I saw that Clemson game early in the day, and you had Troy up 16-0 at Clemson, and that was hard to believe. I mean, Clemson came out very inspired in the second half and managed to get the win there, but yeah, that Clemson win, after what I saw today, it doesn't seem as impressive.
Yeah, it's going
So
to be hard to judge because I don't know if Clemson's going to get challenged for a while here. I guess they play North
they
Carolina,
do
but
have Georgia Tech this next weekend, though. I think that's going to be a tough test.
yeah, that would be. I remember the good old days back in like, you know, before Clemson was really Clemson, and they would always play like Georgia Tech or like Syracuse on like Friday night, right? And they would always lose that game. It was like the craziest thing in the world back in like when my man was running the triple option at Georgia Tech. So it'd be interested. Haynes King didn't play today, and for Georgia Tech, so we'll have to keep an eye on that for sure because that is the lifeblood of that Georgia Tech team, and they actually struggled there for a little bit today against Gardner Webb. They were down 10-0 in that football game to Gardner Webb today.
Final
And
score looked nothing like that, though, right?
no, it didn't. But you know, I mean, obviously Haynes King is a big piece for Georgia Tech, and you're not going to beat a lot of teams with your backup quarterback anyway. But I think it's mighty crucial that he is 100% healthy. I think that's probably part of the reason why he didn't play today, to make sure he was ready for next weekend. But yeah, Clemson's still got a lot to prove. You know, they did not look good at all today, Will. And yeah, they played well in the second half, but it was a lot of Troy errors, more than it was like them making plays. That offense still leaves me a lot to be desired for all the weapons that they have at receiver. it's just so hard to watch them offensively right now. They just look so stale. They can't run the ball, Will. And people talked about them moving Adam Randall to running back as a wide receiver and like, hey, it's gonna be okay, it's plug and play. Obviously it's not. Like obviously you've got to find something. You have one of the most experienced offensive lines for whatever reason. You cannot run the football, which if you leave this thing up to K Klubnik, it is shown in the past that it is not going to work out well. You've played 2 games now and you haven't run the ball in either one of them. You played a good team in LSU and you've played a non-power 5 school in Troy. All right, that you should have probably beat by 30. All right, and you didn't run the ball against either one of them. So what does that say about Clemson? Is this something that they can get figured out, or is Clemson just who Clemson is at this point?
Yeah. I remember last week you were celebrating like LSU has a good defense, but was it LSU has a good defense or is it kind of Clemson just doesn't have a good offense at this point? What do you think?
I think LSU has a really good defense. I think LSU has probably, after watching everybody for 2 weeks now in the SEC, I think LSU has the best defense in the SEC. And I at this moment in time, I don't think it's that close, honestly. Like they have done their part. The only they had that one drive. Clemson had one good drive against them. Other than that, the other points came off of a turnover inside their own territory. So you're talking about 2 games where the number one defense has given up 7 points, and you played on the road, top 10 team. Like I said, we'll see what Clemson is. Obviously,
Hmm.
today had a lot of LSU fans worried because I mean you're looking at that Clemson game, you're like, wow, that team really sucks, and you kind of barely beat them. Um, but I mean, you kind of got to take this thing week by week. Will I mean teams are so different from week to week. You know how this thing
Yeah.
kind of works. It's all about when, where, and how you play type thing. Like obviously, Clemson's going to play a lot better on the national stage, prime time against a top 10 team. Marquee matchup. Like they're going to be fired up to play that game. And obviously, it's a big letdown when you lose a game like that. And maybe practice wasn't as intense this week. Maybe you can obviously tell that they didn't come in this game with much intensity. But when they turned it on, they obviously were able to handle their business and win the game, which is obviously the most important part. But like I said, you had 16 rushing. Adam Randall had 16 rushing yards today, man. That's not good enough. You are not going to beat any good football teams if you're only rushing for 16 yards with your running back. That is bad, Will. That's not going to win you any games. I mean, we're talking about between this if you take the sack yardage into it, you had 31 yards rushing. After last weekend, you had 20 something yards rushing. You haven't even eclipsed 100 yards rushing in 2 football games, and it's just I don't know if you're a Clemson fan and you're watching this. I just don't know where this team goes because they have so many flaws that they're gonna get caught again. Like there is not a doubt in my mind that they're gonna lose another football game. They might figure some things out and sneak into the ACC championship with one loss, but somebody's gonna get them, and it might be Georgia Tech next weekend because if they don't figure it out, like you said, man, Georgia Tech is a good football team, and they have been probably circling this game as like this is the one we got to make a statement in. So Clemson better watch out next week.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I'm taking Georgia Tech in that game. Of course, I had them as my preseason ACC champ, and I'm not backing down off of that now.
Yeah, it is. It is not ideal times for the Clemson Tigers right now. But I would kind of want to talk about another game in that noon window that kind of nobody talked about. It was kind of flown under the radar again. That's Iowa and Iowa State. One of our favorite games to watch because we love special teams, we love defense, and we love punting. And that is what Iowa brings to the table every single weekend. And Iowa State kind of got out ahead in this thing. I think they were up 10-0 in this game. It really kind of felt like it was going to be their day, and they were going to kind of run away with this thing. And Iowa made a little comeback there and was able to tie the game up. The final score ended up being 16-13. If you are a betting person, and you don't know this by now, but when Iowa and Iowa State play each other, you bet the under. No matter what it is. If it's 20, bet the under. It doesn't matter. This thing was like 40 something, and they weren't even going to sniff that, Will.
Mm. Hey, I just gotta say for Iowa State, how about that kicker? making like a 54-yard field goal to win the game there at the end. What a heck of a kick under the pressure there, winning the Cy-Hawk Trophy, and now Iowa State 3-0, right? I don't think they've started conference play yet, but that's a heck of a non-conference. No, they played Kansas State in Ireland, but yeah, off to a great start, 3-0. So early Big 12 favorite, dare I say?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely gotta feel that way, especially with Baylor already losing, Arizona State already losing. Now TCU probably looks like that team that's going to compete at the top of that league at this point in time, but we've only seen them play one game, so we don't really know. Um, who are your biggest winners and biggest losers after week two today? Like, give me a couple teams that you were like, all right, they kind of did their thing today, that they're going to be a team to look out for the rest of the season. And who are your biggest losers?
Oh, we've been talking about them throughout the show, I think, but South Florida to me is the biggest winner of the day, and I had them as now I had Boise State as a big loser last week, but South Florida just two ranked wins to open the season. No one's picking them. Well, I kind of believed in them in this game, but still, you're not thinking they're going to win these games. You're not thinking they're going to go into the swamp and take down the number 13 Gators. They do it. That's huge. And just having this on their resume could very well be the difference in them getting that group of five bid later on or not. So they're obviously a big winner for me. Mississippi State, what a huge win for them to beat the defending Big 12 champs in Arizona State there. Biggest win for that program in years. Those got to be the two biggest winners for me today. Come back to me on biggest losers. I need to think about that real quick. The losers of those games obviously lost big. Oklahoma State lost real big. We talked about that too. I'll see if I can think of some more, but maybe you want to go.
Yeah. The biggest winners today, obviously, I mean, just as far as the numbers go, we're just going to rattle off some numbers here because you had Ohio State, all right, 70 nothing. All right. Oregon gets a big win today, 69-3. All right. You had Florida State, all right, against East Texas A&M today.
I didn't even know that existed.
Not to be mistaken for the Aggies over there in Texas A&M and College Station. All right, this is the east side of Texas A&M. Didn't even know there was an East Texas A&M over there, but they win 77-3. Keep building on that momentum, and then Alabama just proving everybody wrong today, man. Just shutting the doubters up out there, just putting it on ULM, 73-0. What a game! Kalen DeBoer saves his job 1 week at a time with them. Man, they are just a machine these days, man. I don't know. I don't have any more praises. That Alabama program is just continuing right where Nick Saban left off.
Well, I wouldn't go that far yet. Let's see what happens when they play an SEC team. I mean, last week did happen. They did lose to Florida State by 14 points.
I'm calling it now, Will. They're going to beat Georgia's ass.
I mean, I could very well see that, honestly.
I mean, they're going to. Like, if I wasn't already favoring Alabama just because of the dominance they've already had over Georgia, the loss in week one solidified it. It was like, all right, it's a done deal. Like, it's happening. Like, they are 100% going to beat Georgia. If you're watching this still 48 minutes into it.
We're that far in? Wow.
We are, and we're about to wrap this thing up, trust me. But if you're still here watching this, bookmark this shit now because Georgia's getting their ass cut by Alabama in their own stadium. And it's not going to matter how good Georgia is. It's not going to make a difference between how good both of these teams are. It's just facts at this point. Alabama's going to beat Georgia.
You know something? Nick Saban, like some of his most dangerous teams were those teams that lost the game early in the season. And, like, he used that moment to
don't compare these shit. Don't compare.
I mean, Nick Saban and Kalen DeBoer aren't the same. I'm just saying.
Don't compare these shit stains to any team that Nick Saban ever coached. Dude, we got dudes out here carrying stuffed fucking animals, all right, into fucking games, all right, because they have anxiety. All right, I ain't trying to hear that. These fingernail painting ass receivers that they got, Nobody's trying to hear that shit, Will. All right, they don't even deserve to be talked in the same light as any Alabama team that Nick Saban coached. I don't even care if it's the 2017. Those teams were still way tougher than this Alabama team. You can't erase that memory that I watched last week and that shit performance that I got to watch, because I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to say Florida State ain't hanging no banners this year. They ain't winning no championship in the ACC. They ain't going to no playoff. All right? So you
Wow.
lost to that team, and you didn't just lose to them; you got dominated by them. So we're not gonna sit here and pretend like you went in today, just erased all of it. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. Nobody gives a shit what you do against ULM. You know what they're gonna give a shit about? They're gonna give a shit about when you play Georgia. And if you play good against Georgia, maybe you'll start turning the tide on people's minds again. But until then, I gotta see it because this team lacks toughness. They play soft brand of football. All right, it is what it is. You just, you call a spade a spade. This team sucks on the road. All right, Kalen DeBoer is having a hellacious time beating unranked teams as the Alabama football coach. All right, but you know what he does do, Will? He beats ranked teams, and he beats a lot of them. Pretty much all of them, actually. It's kind of crazy the dynamic they got going on down there in Tuscaloosa. It's got to be the most frustrating thing for that fan base at the moment.
Yeah, you look at last year, they win against Georgia there, and they were up crazy big, like in the first quarter, like by 4 scores or something. Obviously, it was a lot closer in the end. Big win against Georgia. Then they're number one in the country. What do? Lose to unranked Vanderbilt the very next week. It's hard to understand. I think, doesn't Kalen DeBoer have more losses to unranked teams already than Nick Saban did in his entire time there, or something like that?
Yeah, Kalen Moore has never lost a game to Dan Lanning. He's never lost a game to Kirby Smart. He's never lost a game to Steve Sarkisian. All right, you can argue three of the best coaches in the game right now. All right, never lost to either one of those. You know who does own his ass? Clark Lee owns his ass. All right, it's not just Virginia Tech he's out there whooping up on every Saturday. It's Alabama, and boy, when Vanderbilt comes to town, that's gonna be a matchup for the century, man. I freaking love me some Diego Pavia. All right, if you watch the Netflix series, you'll understand why. Because Diego Pavia is a dog.
Mm.
All right, Will. I got a question for you. I'm gonna hot takes right here. All right. We're
Okay.
gonna we're gonna look ahead to next week a little bit. I'm gonna give you a couple matchups. And I want you to give me your thoughts on how you're feeling about these matchups at the moment. All right.
Okay.
We're only gonna do ranked matchups. All right. I'm gonna start off with Texas A&M traveling to Notre Dame next week. How we
Uh,
feeling?
I'm leaning Aggies. That's a tough place to play in Notre Dame there, but
That's
SEC,
SEC
Texas
bias at its
A&M.
finest, boys.
Yep,
If y'all
yep.
were
And also, I don't trust early season Notre Dame. That was my mindset into the Miami game. What did they do? They lost, and it's still early season Notre Dame. So
Man, could
I
you
don't trust it.
imagine if Notre Dame went 0-2 to start this year, though?
I think this is a must win for Notre Dame
It has
because
to be. It's got
I
to be.
mean,
I
how
mean,
you get in as a 2-loss team when you don't play in a conference?
and you lost to probably the two better teams that you're gonna play on your schedule. You lost both of them, you know. So
Hmm.
I don't know how they recover. All right, my favorite game of next week. Lock it in. You talked about it earlier. The CW getting the marquee matchup at 4:30 next weekend. We
Yeah.
got the big rivalry. South Florida heading down from Tampa. They're going down to South Beach in Coral Gables to take on the Miami Hurricanes, a top 5 team. Can the historic run for South Florida continue, Will?
Yeah, I'm taking South Florida all the way.
Shocker. I would have never guessed you would have done that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you think they beat Florida today? Probably
I did
not, but
not.
they did.
I did pick.
They're
They
gonna
were
keep
on.
this thing.
They were
They
on my
can't have
best
their head
bets.
be too big after a win like that.
USF
They
was
gotta
on.
get back up.
USF was on the list of 10 games that I bet on today. So I did
Yeah.
pick them. I
But
did think they were going to cover for sure.
Florida was a 17.5 point favorite, though. I don't think
Mm,
Florida even scored that many points.
they didn't. I think they had 16. Yeah, it
Mm.
was a rough day. All right, we're going to talk about Georgia Tech and Clemson. We kind of talked about it a little bit. Obviously, you're leaning Georgia Tech, but why are you leaning Georgia Tech?
They're just my preseason ACC champ, and I like what they're doing over there.
I got you. I got you. All right, we're gonna talk
And
about
I
our two.
also don't believe in Clemson very much after
Yeah,
that
Clemson's
cheating.
hard. Clemson's a tough team. Clemson is like that ex that keeps telling you that they're gonna change, and they're not. They're not gonna
Mhm.
change. Just get rid of them because they're not never gonna change. It's not gonna happen. They're just gonna continue to lie to you and tell you it's gonna be okay, and it's not okay. All right. So
I'm
we're
okay with it.
yeah, we're gonna talk about our two games. Our two games. You know, that man. This is gonna suck because I actually enjoyed doing this live show. It's gonna be a motherfucker next week because I'm going down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we got Tiger Bait coming. We got Tiger Bait coming to town, boy. The Florida Gators coming to town to face the third-ranked LSU Tigers. After a very lackluster performance, we'll wait to see what the injury report looks like for LSU on Monday. That's probably going to be my biggest factor in this game. But I'm more scared about this football game now, after watching what I saw tonight, than I was 24 hours ago, for sure.
Yeah, after that loss today, I think Florida is going to be coming in inspired, and it's going to be a heck of a game in Death Valley next week. That's what I'm thinking.
Will
But the game certainly.
I'll get a new co-host so fast if you pick Florida next week. You'll be fired
Uh,
on the spot. Have you ever been fired before? You ever been
mm,
fired? Because you're about to find out. You fuck around and pick Florida on
no,
this
I don't
show.
think so.
You fuck around and pick Florida on this show next week. You're fired. All right. I know I don't pay you anything. All right, but you're still fired.
Yeah, that'd be a major hit to the bank account, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
we're saving the pick for
No,
the
we're not
during
picking
the
them right
show.
now. You don't get to pick them right now because you'd be
Oh,
picking based off of bias. All right.
well, I have
I
to
just
think
kind of
about it.
wanted
All
your
right.
feel. I just wanted your feel on the game. The spread's six
I'll,
and a half right now. LSU's favored by 6.5 in that football
wow.
game right now.
I think it'll be closer than that.
But we're gonna save the best for last, and that is Saturday night in the South. All right. I think this game's on SEC Network.
Yeah, they locked it in
Locked it
7:45.
in 7:45 in Columbia, South Carolina. Diego Pavia said this in the offseason now. He said Vanderbilt, he's circling one game on the schedule this year, and it is at South Carolina. I don't know what he's got against y'all, but I love me some Diego Pavia. All right, but you know what? South Carolina's a good football team, and I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to hate on them, but that I think that's going to be a really fun game to watch. I'm kind of mad that it's going to be at the same time as the LSU Florida game because I would love to sit down and watch that thing. But man, that I think that thing's going to be. First of all, Willie B is going to be rocking. First real game at Willie B of the season. Like that place is going to be rocking. They love their night games there. They don't get very many of them these days, but when they do, they make them count. And that's going to be a tough atmosphere for Vanderbilt to come in and win for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool to see South Carolina starting to become teams Super Bowls like that. Usually it's the other way around, but yeah, that's gonna be interesting. They probably circled it because this is that early season real first test. I mean, no offense to Charleston Southern, I think they played last week, and no offense to Virginia Tech, but going into Williams-Brice Stadium, taking on the Norris Sellers, the Gamecocks, you're really gonna find out what kind of team you have going into that hostile environment, like you said. I, for one, am scared because, I mean, they have a common opponent in Virginia Tech, and they both kind of handily beat them. I mean, South Carolina needed special teams in the fourth quarter to pull away, and
That's South
different
Carolina's
stories with
best offense,
Vanderbilt.
man. South Carolina's
Yeah,
best offense is when the other team punts, apparently.
yeah. I mean, they gotten 21 points off of that, right? Uh, I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to be a really close game, and I'm scared. Man, South Carolina loses this, it's going to be very deflating. Because, like I said before, they need to come out of September undefeated to have any hopes of achieving their goals.
All right, I
So,
lied. I lied. That's not going to be the last game. College game day, I'm sure you saw today, going to Knoxville for
man,
Georgia,
how can we forget
Tennessee.
this?
Yeah, man, that's gonna be a great game. I think. I don't know if Tennessee's for real, man. I want to believe what I want to believe, but man, Syracuse looked like shit today against UConn,
Yeah,
and
Georgia
t-
hasn't played anybody yet though, so we don't know what
that's
they are.
yeah, we have no clue. The spread right now is Georgia is favored by 7, so they're kind of viewing this game as the LSU Florida game here. You know, it's right at that touchdown mark. I don't know, man. Tennessee hasn't beaten Georgia in a while, and it's going to be tough for me
Yeah,
to pick them to beat them again.
that's fair. Knoxville is it can be a tough place to play, right? But yeah, Georgia hasn't gone in there and lost in a long time. So I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like
if I could pick
gotta lean
anywhere to
Georgia.
be next weekend, if I could pick anywhere to be next weekend, it would 100% be like, hey, you get one game you get to go to next weekend. It's got to be. I want to go to Knoxville. Like I'm that place is gonna be rocking. All right, I'm interested to see how the young buck quarterback, because this is his first road game as a starter. Like he played in the playoffs last year, and obviously those are big games, but it's a little different when you go on the road in the SEC, especially in some of these places that are a little bit better than others. And Gunnar Stockton's gonna have his hands full with that crowd and that Tennessee team because, I mean, obviously Tennessee looks like they're gonna be pretty good still. So they're no slouch by any means. So who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? I like Georgia, but I can easily see a world where Tennessee comes out of that thing victorious.
Yeah, for sure. Hey man, this was fun. I know we went to LSU Alabama last year, and I remember how atrocious the cell signal was trying to get out of there. So I don't know if you're gonna have signal getting out of that game next week. If you did, it'd be really cool to do another live show, but I don't know. But
We
it
might
was
we
fun tonight for sure.
Yeah, man. Tonight was our first night, so give us a little bit of a pass. We kind of are trying to figure things out on the fly. But if you were here and you enjoyed it, man, like it, share it, do whatever you got to do, and make sure you keep checking us out throughout the week. We're gonna be posting a lot of stuff throughout the entirety of the week. If you're watching this on Twitter, watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, we have all that stuff. So make sure you're following us on everything so you don't miss anything. We're gonna be talking college football all season long. It's just gonna be me and Will talking ball, and God knows we're probably gonna be talking about Purdue at some point. So if you're a Purdue fan, you're watching this, you need to watch the show. All right?
Huge test for them next week, man.
Yeah,
This is like a
that's what we
make or
talk about
break.
around here. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we talk around. Like Will picked them to go to the Big Ten championship, so he has a lot riding on this thing. This
Yeah,
is
but
not
they
just
have doubled their win total already from
true,
last year, so it's really, really good start.
very impressive. But thank you guys a lot for watching, man. We both appreciate it, and like I said, if you're not already, make sure you're following. Subscribe to us on YouTube. The replays of this will be up. Share with all your friends. Whatever you got to do. We're gonna be doing a lot of live shows this week. Obviously, it's gonna be very dependent on my status more of as Will's status, but we're gonna try to do as many as we can and see if we can get a little traction with that and see how that thing's going. But thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next time.